So I used to find inspiration in knowing or learning about the awakening of other people. And with that purpose in mind, I'm going to talk a little bit about the awakening that happened here. And I'm purposely not using the word my awakening because it's not mine. It doesn't happen to you. It doesn't happen to the me or the I. The awakening happens, but it happens to nobody. In a way, it happens to consciousness. It becomes aware of itself. Because there is such a thing as the stink of awakening in Zen, and it consists of when the ego takes over the awakening, and then it becomes all, proud of itself that now is awakened. So you want to avoid the stink of awakening, of course, because the purpose is to move towards egolessness. You realize very soon after awakening that the least ego is there, the greater is the enjoyment of life. So you don't want to recreate you could call it the bastard, but it's too much. It's the ego is an innocent mechanism, but it's destructive. We can see it in this planet, right? The ego agenda is what is here for me. So we're seeing how it's destroying everything. Look no further. Why this planet is going through what it's going. Ego consciousness. Everybody, 7 billion people, thinking, what is here for me? What is here for me? We are destroying the whole thing. So that's why we try to avoid the stink of awakening. But anyway, let's go into my awakening. the awakening that happened in this mind-body organism, right? That's the real way to phrase it. So, in which way it happened? There was a time that I was very involved in yoga for about 24 years. And the methods that I learned were very ineffective to attain awakening. So eventually I moved into Non-Duality, which is a much more effective path to get there. That's why in India it's reserved to seekers that have already suffered enough. And yes, through non-duality, through studying the teachings of non-dual teachers, there was an improvement, and I would say that the most significant one was the desire to wake up. And this desire became bigger, and eventually I began to go to retreats, and in one of these retreats with a teacher called Advaita, excellent teacher. He said that the transmission of awakening in his tradition is one-on-one, from teacher to student. And I thought, wow, that's the only thing I haven't tried, right? I had already watched all the YouTubes and all the read all the books, and it was not happening. So I said, okay, well, this is one thing I haven't tried. So when I came back to Los Angeles, I decided I'm going to look for a teacher. But I didn't need to look for too long. I got an email from Jim Driver. And there was Jim, there was a nice picture of him with some flowers. And he looked like a good person, good heart. And so I decided to give him a call. And he was offering awakening sessions. Well, that was exactly what I was looking for. So I give him a call, and he says, I'm close by, in fact, but I will go to your place. So he began to come to our place. We were renting a small apartment in Santa Monica, but with a nice view. I always liked expansive views for some reason. Interestingly, it played a role in the awakening, as you will see later. So we began to have sessions one-on-one on awakening, and Jim was doing his work. I would say he was quite knowledgeable. He was definitely awakened. He was very worry-free and very free in many respects that I wasn't. So we kept going for about 6 months. And then I was simultaneously, when I meditated in the morning, I was putting a little bit of ormus. Ormus is an alchemical substance that was given to me by an individual called Art Tarby. He's kind of an alchemist. And Art told me that this was going to potentiate any intention that I was interested in potentiating. Then I was ingesting the ormus, and the intention was, I want to wake up. Then my wife and I were meditating afterwards, and then go on with our day. So for quite a few months, this intention was there. I want to wake up, I want to wake up, I want to wake up every day. And this is a key. If you want to wake up, do this. The universe responds to your desire, to your sincerity. Then the sessions with Jim were, were helpful, and we were doing a lot of eye gazing and different techniques, but I was not waking up. So rightly so, he said that I was close, because he always said you are kind of close, but it was not happening, right? And so rightly so, he said that I was not was not intuitive enough, and to get it. I was not getting it. So he suggested that I should try a different type of alchemical substance that he said was going to relax me, and was going to stimulate the intuitive aspect of the organism. And well, I thought about it, and I said, whatever it takes, I want this. So next session he comes, and he handed me this alchemical substance that I ingested, and it was, as he said, it produced a certain relaxation in the body. And along with it, probably it did increase the intuitive connection with consciousness. So we were both sitting in the deck of this little apartment that was looking to the ocean in Santa Monica with an expansive view, very nice. The beach and the Santa Monica Bay, and it was very relaxing. And suddenly there was this clear noticing that there was perceiving of all this. There was a clear perceiving of all this in front of me. And this perceiving brought the idea in the mind that there should be a perceiver behind, right? Now, this was not the first time that had happened. I had that awarenessing, that noticing that there was the perceiving, and I had already looked for the perceiver behind a few times. So at that moment, I did the same. There was this intuitive trying to look for the perceiver that was behind the perceiving, because our language is organized as perceiver, perceiving, and perceived, meaning subject, verb, and object. All our language is organized in those terms. So I closed my eyes and looked for the perceiver, and I had fantasies about that, of what could be, It could be the divine that I was looking for, my true self. And I thought that if I could find the perceiver, I would find self-realization or awakening. And then I couldn't find it. Couldn't find the perceiver. There was obviously perceiving of the Santa Monica Bay, the sky, the ocean, the birds, the seagulls. It was beautiful, and all that was there was perceiving of all that. But I looked for the perceiver and couldn't find it. And that was strange again. And I thought, well, this time, since Jim is here, I'm going to ask him, right? So Jim, I asked, this is happening, It has happened before. I noticed that there is perceiving here, but when I look for the perceiver, I cannot find anything. And Jim turned towards me, and he said, quite convincingly, the perceiver is a story. It doesn't exist. And I had the experience of looking for that thing quite a few times, so it corroborated my own experience. But for some reason, I needed corroboration of that experience, right? So I said, oh, okay, sure. Well, that is true. It doesn't exist because I have seen that it's not there. So Jim is right. But then the next thought was, well, if the perceiver doesn't exist, then I do not exist. The me doesn't exist because there is perceiving, everything else is perceived, and there is nothing else. And then the I, the me, has to be in front, has to be on the screen. It has to be thoughts about me, ideas about me that are being perceived. So there's perceiving of those ideas. And when that dawned, it was, oh, okay, so I don't exist. And then the next thought was even more worry. It was then, I never existed. And it made a lot of sense to me. I never existed. Never was a Gian, or as I was called originally, Juan Pablo, right? Juan Pablo Girardi. Never existed. So that was the awakening. As simple as that. It was not a spiritual experience. It was a clear looking into the human experience. And there was a great laugh, because you can figure out, right, how much effort we have put into this little self, and loving it, self-esteem, and decorating it with degrees, in my case, degrees and accomplishments and possessions and relationships, and it doesn't exist. So that's why that image, the Buddha, the laugh of the Buddha is, at the moment of awakening, wow, this is ridiculous. This thing doesn't exist. This me doesn't exist. So Jim did a great job, because his clarification at that moment was like a knife that cuts through the ignorance, the illusion. And I would say that as a student, this organism did a good job, because it asked the right question. So asking the right question, make a note of that, is very important. Second, the process of reinforcing your desire for awakening through the intention, I want to wake up, very vital. And then it comes another phase, which is the integration of the insight. See, afterwards we began to work with that right there. We sat down in the living room and we began to interchange insights, one after another, And Jim was recording them. He recorded about 50. At the end of the day, he said, I have 50 insights, this is really rare. And which he used them for his books. He wrote a book that is pretty good. It's called End Your Story, Begin Your Life. So it's true. Look, at that moment of awakening, you end believing in the story. The storyline of you, me, Gian in this case. And then you begin to live life. You begin to enjoy life. You don't take yourself so seriously. As Alan Watts said to his audience, the only difference between you and me is that I don't take myself seriously. How are you going to take yourself seriously if you know that you don't exist? Now, it doesn't mean that you are not. You are, but you don't exist. Notice that the word exist is exit, living outside, having a separate identity, a separate little self here, or little consciousness inside, that is the perceiver, that is the me, that doesn't exist. That is just perceiving. It's a function. It's non-dual. It's not positive or negative. It's constant. Doesn't come and go. It's the divine. It's God within. That was one of the insights that came later, because during my youth I wanted to find God, and in the scriptures it says that God is within you. Well, where it is? Where is it? Notice it at this moment. There is perceiving at this moment, right? That perceiving is God. God within. So I hope this helps you to inspire you to look for awakening. More and more people are waking up, of course. This is unstoppable. But I hope that you wake up soon. Don't delay it. There is much happiness waiting, and a lot of suffering that can be left behind. And if you really want to wake up, I would suggest that There is down below this video a link for you. Take care. I hope you will have a good laugh with your awakening, which is not difficult to get.